Have you thought about investing in the stock market but didn't know where to start? Have you asked yourself, which stock should I buy? How do I know when to buy, when to sell? The book, The Stock Market Decoded, available on Amazon and Kindle Unlimited, will answer those questions and teach you to read stock trends, understand bear and bull markets. You will learn the different metrics. You will learn to diversify your stocks and much, much more. The Stock Market Decoded is filled with tons of up-to-date visual financial content to guide you in your trading journey and includes online access to weekly content, as well as additional in-depth materials and articles. It's for all ages, for those interested in getting started in investing, and requires you to have no previous knowledge of finance. What are you waiting for? Begin your stock market journey right now and order your copy of The Stock Market Decoded, available on Amazon and Kindle Unlimited.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast. Broadcasting from sunny South Florida, Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome to the program, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. Thanks for tuning in, everyone, and please follow and subscribe on whatever platform you are listening to us on. All right, now this has been just a huge week, and, this ministry of truth that they've put together at the White House, this is a very big deal, and I'm going to talk about it in some detail right now because I know everyone's talking about it, and it's a trending hashtag, and everyone's familiar with it. They're calling it the Disinformation Office. This is not some cubicle at the White House in Jen Psaki's press briefing office. This ministry of truth, this ministry of disinformation, or whatever they're calling it, is part of the Department of Homeland Security. Okay, this is serious business. They're not playing around. And the Department of Homeland Security, remember, was formed after 9/11, and their job is to protect the homeland from terrorism. And if you remember what happened, when 9/11 happened, there were all these indicators and signals, the whole story. But there's a couple of dozen federal intelligence agencies, not just CIA, FBI, the military branches have their own, NSA. There's a couple dozen of them. And many of the agencies had a little piece here, a little piece there, and they said no one shared information between agencies. So they put together the Department of Homeland Security so that all the intelligence agencies would share information on terrorist activities around the world in one organization so that a 9/11 could be stopped. And now look what they're doing. They're using the Department of Homeland Security against the American people. And what they're doing to justify this is, of course, the Capitol breach. And they're going to use this to do a couple of things. One, their ultimate goal, which I've been telling you about for a long time, is to declare MAGA a domestic terrorist organization and outlaw it. And I want to keep in mind, when you talk about a domestic terrorist organization, the Klan does not even have that distinction. The neo-Nazis don't even have that distinction. They're known as hate groups, but not terrorist groups. The other thing they're trying to do, that their ultimate goal is to regulate the internet content. Right now, internet content isn't really regulated. I mean, there are things that are illegal, in our society that you can't post on, line. But they want to regulate the internet content the same way that television and radio is regulated. And just let me tell you guys about this with the FCC. Because I've worked my whole life in broadcasting, and there's FCC regulations. They're not as strict as they used to be. When I first got into, I've been in radio so long, 30 years. When I first got into radio, you had to have a license from the government, and I wish I still had it. If there may be a box in a closet at my mother's house where it is, I don't know. I wish I still had this. I had to have a license. And it wasn't as fancy as a driver's license, but it was a little cardboard card. I wish I had it with my name on it and everything. It'd be really super cool, but don't have it anymore. They don't do that anymore. Did you carry that around with you, or what did you do with that? It had to be on file at the radio station. Okay. And it could be, it had to be on file at the radio station, and they could come in theory, and look for it at any particular time. But anyway, the FCC, how the FCC came to be, okay, is very important to understand what is going on now. Because everyone's talking about the ministry of truth here. No one's talking about what I'm talking about and what their ultimate goal is. If you look at President Roosevelt, not Teddy, FDR, he's most famous for his fireside chats over the radio. Mm-hmm. And when FDR was running for president the first time and became president the first time, the Twitter of the day was radio. And President Roosevelt, FDR, did with radio what no one else had done in politics before. He used it to get elected, like President Trump used social media. He used radio. Like President Kennedy used television in 1960, FDR used radio. And back in those early days, there was no FCC. They were not regulated, radio, and people owned radio stations, and they were not regulated. They did whatever they wanted to do. And after Roosevelt used radio to get into power, he realized, well, wait a minute, we just can't have anybody going on the radio saying things. And President Roosevelt and the Democrats declared that the radio airwaves are the public airwaves. So the airwaves belong to the public. And Ayn Rand was around back then, and she wrote about this. And I've read her writings on it a long time ago, not for many years, but this is just from memory. I didn't even go back and look it up for this discussion. And she was arguing against this, Ayn Rand. She was trying to stop this. And Ayn Rand she says, well, wait a minute. What do you mean the public airwaves? There's a guy person that owns the radio station they paid for. They own the transmitter they pay for. They got to pay for the electricity to power. They built the radio tower with their own money. And now the government's coming in and saying this is all public property. And what happened with that is the federal government, and later, of course, they expanded it to television. When television came around, they declared it's the public airwaves so they can regulate it. And they had even when I first started in radio, it was gone, but radio and television was still handled this way, and this did not end until Ronald Reagan. So they FDR, they brought in the federal government. It's the public airwaves. They started regulating, and to limit free political speech, they came up with the equal time rule, which meant this: under the equal time rule, we love Trump, right? So the way this would work, Kathy and I do this podcast, the Brian Craig Show podcast, and we're talking about Trump. We would have to have under that, if this were during the time of equal time requirements in broadcasting, we would have to have two other people who hated Trump explaining why everything we were saying was wrong.
Well, and you'd have to do the same thing for the Steve Kane show.
And radio had this until Ronald Reagan did away with it. It was called the Fairness Doctrine. And Rush Limbaugh, the reason Rush Limbaugh became national when he did, okay, and became the big superstar is because the Fairness Doctrine was gone and radio stations could carry him. And, those of you that, were back in those days, you may be familiar with this. You couldn't do it. If Rush Limbaugh was syndicated back in the days of the Fairness Doctrine, 3 hours a day, the radio station would be required to have a Democrat refuting everything for 3 hours a day. And so you couldn't operate that way. So what happened with talk radio, they were doing recipe shows and Dr. Laura type shows. The Fairness Doctrine was done away with by President Reagan, and then Rush Limbaugh and shows like we do. So and a lot of you will be very familiar with the way television news used to work. If you remember back up in the 70s and 80s, even in the 90s, even though the Fairness Doctrine was gone, the people running radio and TV stations grew up under it, so they still ran the stations like it was in place. But do you remember the days when you would watch the television news, your local news, and at the end of the news, the general manager of the radio station would give an editorial?
Yeah, I remember that.
And then sometimes you'd see some regular guy wearing a baseball cap and a T-shirt giving a response to the editorial. Right. They were required under the Fairness Doctrine to do that. If the station manager gave an editorial and you called a radio station and said, I want to refute that, they were obligated under law, under the Fairness Doctrine, to do that. So anyway, the reason I tell you all that is they are trying to bring that type of governance to the internet because they understand that they have lost control of the narrative.
I think you're right. I think this last move by Elon Musk, they've been losing control for a while.
Yes.
Okay. You were talking on the show today how much black support has gone down. And believe me, the liberals know this. They want to give you the impression that everything's hunky-dory, but their whole world is coming crashing down around them. Just look at, you can see it. All these Netflix losing people. I think that has a lot to do with them hiring the Obamas. The thing with Disney, you have the thing with these other corporations. People are boycotting certain corporations. Netflix, they're losing people. And then you have Elon Musk buying Twitter. All this stuff, plus the support of certain minority groups are going. Why do you think all this racial stuff is being talked about in the news? Because they're trying to get black people back on their side, and pulling the race card has always worked in the past. But the problem they're having is inflation is so bad right now, and Biden is so bad that even hardcore Democrats that have been on the Democratic side don't even want to go back.
Yeah.
They're like, I can't even afford to buy groceries anymore. So screw these people.
For example.
But they're losing their grip. Yeah. You're right. That's what this is about.
They've lost the narrative.
Yeah. And they're trying to get the control back.
They're trying to get the control back because they blame losing the narrative on Trump's rise. And, for example, right now they're pushing this ridiculous lie, Putin's price hikes, right? They believe that the only reason they can't convince the American people of the Putin price hike lie is because they don't control the internet. So I'm not saying they're going to be successful with this.
Well, this Twitter thing has flipped them out.
Well, I'll talk about that in a second.
Flipped them out.
I'm not saying they're going to be completely successful with this, but I do think in the long run they are going to be successful because even the Republican establishment are upset that they've lost control of the narrative with the internet. Now the thing,
they're going to come out and say that they're against this. But what they say and what they do are two totally different things. The Republicans know right now they're not in control of the government. So they have to outwardly come out and tell you they're against it. But how hard are they going to fight against it?
That's right. No doubt about that. So Elon Musk with Twitter, this is awesome. And, I would say Elon Musk, had his come down the escalator moment, with buying Twitter. But I'm a little concerned about it. Not Elon Musk. I think
the reaction.
Let me tell you something.
The reaction.
My opinion of Elon Musk is bested only by my view and love of Donald Trump right now. I mean, I think Elon Musk, an American immigrant, he understands America better than Americans because he's not just because he's brilliant. You don't become the richest man in the world not being brilliant. He's brilliant, but being an immigrant, being someone from another country, he really understands and appreciates the freedoms we have here in this country.
That's for sure.
And think about this. They say we hate immigrants, MAGA, right? Our hero is an immigrant right now, Elon Musk, and our number one hero, Donald Trump, is married to an immigrant. So, and his older children, President Trump, Don Jr., Eric, Ivanka, they're the children of an immigrant. They're first-generation Americans from that respect because of their mother.
And he's an African immigrant.
That's right. He's African-American, Elon Musk. But this is what I'm concerned about with Elon Musk and Twitter, and this makes me nervous. Twitter caved too fast because they first came out and said, no way with the offer.
About.
And I know everyone's saying, well, it was the threat of shareholder lawsuits. They don't care about that. They could have dragged that out for a long time. I don't know what it's about, but they caved to Elon Musk really fast, didn't they?
Remember in Star Wars Episode 4 when Harrison Ford got away from the tractor beam or something and Leia said that was too easy?
When they left the Death Star?
When they left the Death Star,
they let us go.
Yeah,
they let us go.
Yeah, kind of. And he thought she was crazy, and then he quickly learned.
By the way,
maybe there's something to that.
There's no Episode 4 and all this stuff. The original Star Wars movie
he always corrects me.
Known as just Star Wars.
There's so many Star Wars movies. The first one that came out, in 77.
There's no Episode 4 or 5
the best one.
Or 6. It's Star Wars, Empire, and Jedi. But anyway, so Governor DeSantis, who is, remember Mayor Giuliani was America's mayor. I think Ron DeSantis is America's governor right now, right?
I think so.
I mean, he's awesome. We're so lucky to live in Florida.
He's amazing.
And I'll tell you, how MAGA we are. Tomorrow I'm getting together with a friend of mine, Rob, and This tells you we're going to get together and have some beers down the street from Mar-a-Lago, and then afterwards we're going to go over to Mar-a-Lago. So I mean, it's like a MAGA weekend.
You're going to pop in and say hi to Trump and the family?
I don't think President Trump's going to be home because he's in Nebraska today.
That's true.
So I don't know if he'll be home tomorrow, but we'll still stop by. Maybe just say hello to Melania. I don't know. But Governor DeSantis was speaking out about this ministry of disinformation that they're setting up, the Biden regime. And let me play this. This is Governor DeSantis today.
As if they don't have enough issues to deal with, they now have an idea, and I honestly thought this was just a belated April Fool's joke, but they are actually going to create, in the Department of Homeland Security, a Bureau of Disinformation. It's basically a ministry of truth. And what they want to do is they want to be able to put out false narratives without people being able to speak out and fight back.
That's right.
They want to be able to say things like Russia collusion and perpetuate hoaxes and then have people like us be silenced. They want to be able to advocate for COVID lockdowns. They want to be able to advocate for school closures, things that are not supported by the evidence, but then when you speak out, they want to stifle dissent. And so we reject this bureau in the state of Florida. Clearly, our entire principles that the country was founded on, you cannot have a ministry of truth in this country. And so let's get real here. Let's make sure that we're doing things to benefit Floridians and Americans, but we're not going to let Biden get away with this one. So we will be fighting back.
Yeah. That's America's Governor Ron DeSantis.
The reason that the left is doing all of this is because they're losing their grip on the messaging on us, on the American people. And what they don't understand is that the tighter they try to hold on to that grip, to that control, the more unpopular they're going to become. They're so out of touch with the American people that they don't understand. I think they've lost sight of what America's all about. They don't understand that the American people are not going to respond to this. They have their celebrities and their sycophants and their radical leftist people that they surround them. They're in this radical left bubble right now. But the majority of the American people are not going to respond to this. And it's amazing how so unaware of themselves that they are, because his numbers keep dropping. They're losing support. They're bleeding support left and right. But they're continuing with these radical ideas. And this woman they have in charge of this is insane. There was a new Tucker put on a video of her singing on TikTok some song about this. It's crazy. But I don't understand how they just can't be like, you know what? Maybe we need to go back to center a little bit. Maybe we need. It's like they're just out of control radicals. But when he started being the president, I'd said to you, his administration is going to be totally run by radical left-wing activists.
Oh yeah,
and that is exactly what's happening. But you know what? In the long run, it's good for us, because the American people are absolutely unhappy with this man. They're fed up, and they will see this in November.
That's true.
Trust me.
Now, I want to take a moment to thank all of our Patreon supporters. Thank you so much, everyone, for your support. And if you would like to become a Patreon supporter, there's a link in the description of this episode. There's also a direct link on my website, briancraigshow.com. And our Patreon website address is patreon.com/RealBrianCraigShow. Patreon.com/RealBrianCraigShow. And there are a lot of benefits to becoming a Patreon supporter, including getting commercial-free editions of each and every podcast episode. And our top Patreon supporters get a live on-air thank you shout-out on every episode. So the names you're going to hear now are, of course, our top Patreon supporters. I want to thank Andrew and Connie, Christine, Gary, ETW, Chuck, D, Pamela, Jacquelyn, Rick, Rich, and Nick. These are our top Patreon supporters. Thank you so much for your support. We're going to take a quick break and be right back.
Is life becoming too much to handle? Maybe you just need a little guidance. Maybe you need a little zen. Find your zen with Jen. Jen L. O'Neill, or Coach J-Lo, is a certified life coach, writer, entrepreneur, business consultant, and author. As your life coach, Jen can help you discover your potential. She offers individual coaching sessions focusing on mastering your life goals, your relationships, and yourself. Sometimes all we need is someone to steer us in the right direction. Jen can help. She will help you build stronger relationships, get more self-confidence, improve your business or job performance, and finally find inner peace. It is possible. She knows how to get you where you want to be. As a natural motivator with 7 years of coaching experience, she tailors her approach to her clients' needs and has overcome many obstacles herself, so she understands and connects with her clients on a deep level. Contact Coach J-Lo today. And if you know someone that needs a little push in life, let them know about Coach J-Lo. Check out her 2 books, Self-Worth Redemption and Too Nice. You can find everything at CoachJLo.com. That's CoachJLo.com. Do you love to garden? How would you like to make your garden truly special and amazing? There's an Etsy shop you will love. It's called Nina Seeds. That's all one word on Etsy.com. Nina Seeds is a boutique that specializes in the sale of seeds for the garden, vegetable garden, fruit trees, forest trees, bonsai trees, and some accessories to make your seedlings. You will find seeds from all over the world, such as eucalyptus, citrus, aloe, tomato, banana, pepper, papaya, watermelon, trees, and many more. So how does your garden grow? With Nina Seeds, it will be more lush than it has ever been. Go right now to Etsy.com and search Nina Seeds. That's all one word. Nina Seeds on Etsy. From author Craig Evans comes your next must-read book, From Shattered to Soaring, available on Amazon. For author Craig Evans, innocence was taken as a child. Abandonment, physical abuse, and psychological torture swallowed his youth. Depression, anxiety, panic attacks, and agoraphobia were the result of suffering. But through surviving cancer, a new self-discipline was born, that of iron will and perseverance. He transformed himself from the broken pieces to find powerful courage to soar through fear, then above it. In From Shattered to Soaring, the author shares his extraordinary life story and reveals the powerful techniques as a practical guide that he used to transform fear, anxiety, and panic to reach his full potential. His story uncovers a path that anyone can follow with actionable exercises to shatter fear, drive through pain, and uncover their greatness. This book was written for those suffering from anxiety, panic attacks, agoraphobia, and depression. After enduring a lifelong struggle with these debilitating disorders, author Craig Evans discovered a way through the fear and no longer suffers. And he shares his experiences with you. Order your copy right now. From Shattered to Soaring, from author Craig Evans. This book is perfect for support groups and book clubs. Available on Amazon in both Kindle and paperback.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast. Broadcasting from sunny South Florida, Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. Now, on our last episode, I don't know if it was the last episode or the episode before, but on one of our earlier podcasts this week, we were encouraging people to join our Marco Polo group. Mm-hmm. And today, we disbanded the Marco Polo group. And I've been getting messages from people all day that said they were removed from the group. Everyone was removed from the group, including me. And it's my group. And I got the same notification, okay? We disbanded the group, and there were a lot of reasons why we disbanded the group. I'm not going to get into all of it, but there was, or any of it actually, but there was very good reasons why we disbanded the group. But I've been getting DMs and messages on different platforms from people about the group. Everyone, including me, and remember, it's my group. Well, it was. There's no group any longer. Got the same message. Okay, so because people, you get this message, and it's a little harsh. You have been removed from the group. I got the same message, and I know it sounds a little harsh. People are like, why did you remove me? People are getting offended and everything else. We just disbanded the group. The group is no more, and it's been deleted. So there is no group anymore. The Marco Polo group is no more. So that's what is going on. So don't take it personally. Even I was removed from my very own group because that's just the notification they give you when you shut down a group on that platform. So just sharing that with you. Okay, Van Jones. Van Jones, this guy, he's a real piece of work, right? Trump would say a real beaut, Van Jones. Van Jones, I first heard of him when Obama came on the scene. Never heard of the guy before. And then all of a sudden, Obama's out there, and I'm hearing about Van Jones all the time, mainly because of Glenn Beck. Glenn Beck made a big thing about Van Jones and got Obama to fire him, if you remember. And
I do remember
I
that.
just assumed Van Jones was some guy that came up through...
That's when Glenn Beck had clout.
Yeah, that was it. That was a long time ago. But I just assumed Van Jones, because I never heard of him, came up through the ranks with Obama, knew him in Chicago, went to college with him or something. And that is not the case. He is a very well-connected person. He's now divorced, but he has not been divorced that long. His ex-wife and the mother of his children... Okay, this is, his ex-wife, who's recently divorced from, and the mother of his children, Van Jones, is the daughter of Billy Carter. Her uncle is President Carter. So this idea that Van Jones is just some guy who, came from somewhere we never heard of and made it and everything else, I don't know too much about him other than the mother of his children, his ex-wife, is Jimmy Carter's niece. So here he's got two connections to two presidents, Obama and Jimmy Carter. So, that's just a little background on Van Jones, because I think most people don't know that, about Van Jones. So anyway, he was on CNN today criticizing Biden, and listen to what he had to say.
Day-to-day reality for black folks hasn't improved. In fact, because of inflation and other things, gotten worse. And so you're starting to see that disappointment factor set in.
Do you think it will change the voting patterns?
Well, listen, I think that it may well. Also, don't forget, you have had a concerted effort on the part of conservatives to recast the Republican Party as the party of the multiracial working class.
We are.
Okay. That's all true. And I just want to say something about the beginning. The state of black Americans hasn't improved. What a ridiculous point to make, okay? This idea that someone should do something for white Americans, black Americans, Asian Americans. We're all Americans. We really, we've moved beyond that stuff.
I hope.
And Van Jones is talking like it's the 60s or the 70s here. This is ridiculous.
Plus, when you say something like that, he's basically saying all black people are poor.
Except him.
I mean, it's ridiculous.
And, this is, this thing with Van Jones here. Jeb Bush is a creep, okay? He was not always a creep. And Steve Kane and I used to be friends with Jeb Bush. And he used to be a good guy until he became governor. And Jeb changed after he became governor. And you know how he changed? His ego. And I remember the first time I met Jeb was the first time he ran for governor and he lost. Okay, he won in his second run 4 years later. And when he ran and lost the first time, his father was the president of the, and all this stuff. And I met Jeb, and he was so cool and so humble and so normal. And I'm like, wow, his dad's a president and all this stuff, and he's this cool. And when he ran for governor the second time and won, he was very, very cool too. And after he became governor, he changed. And then we saw him during the debates with President Trump. He was just weird, and he's not the same Jeb that he used to be. But anyway, when he was running for governor the second time, we had him live in studio on the Steve Kane Show. And we're taking calls. And he gets a call from a Democrat black woman who hates him and hates his dad. And this woman says to Jeb Bush, black caller, black liberal caller, to the show. This was incredible. She says to Jeb Bush, if you become governor, and she's yelling at him, if you become governor, what are you going to do for black people? And Jeb Bush's answer, this was before really like even the internet like we have now. The internet was around, but it was still dial-up, and people were still in AOL chat rooms, so there was no social media yet or YouTube or any of that. If there was, this would have gone viral. So listen to this. So Democrat black woman, she calls in live on the Steve Kane Show. She says to Jeb Bush, he's running for governor, what are you going to do for black people? And Jeb Bush's answer was an answer like I've never heard a politician. He said to her, nothing. And she flipped out. What do you mean nothing? He says, I am not going to do something for black people that I'm not going to do for white people or Hispanic people or Asian people. He went through the whole thing.
All lives
He says,
matter.
I'm going to do things for Floridians, not based on skin color.
Well,
and I've never heard an answer like that before. And that was an interesting thing that Jeb Bush said.
Yeah.
And Van Jones, he thinks special things should be done for black people and Hispanic people. That's segregationist like talk. Well,
that's what
Van
the
Jones.
liberals do. They segregated people back in the 50s and 60s.
Yeah.
They're still segregating people now.
Yeah.
You know, it's amazing when you read on history and how Democrats are. They have the same personality. You know, they don't change.
Democrats?
No,
no,
they don't change. It's a certain personality type that is drawn to that party, and it's people that love division,
bigots,
love control. They're bigots. Look at Joy Reid. She's a huge bigot. She absolutely hates white people.
She hates everybody,
and she is a very angry. I mean, her parents.
Very angry woman.
Horrible name they gave her.
And she's a homophobe too. She doesn't like gays.
She doesn't like gays. I mean, anybody you've seen in blackface has been a liberal. Anybody you've seen, like you always say, that has hung a black person is a liberal.
The lynch,
the lynch to black person. You know, look at the history of the Democratic Party, and don't believe this lie that all of a sudden the politicians decided to get together and switch. Why would the Republicans do that? Why would they decide, we'll take on your bad reputation for you? That is so ridiculous. That is a lie that they have been telling everybody for years and years and years, and people have believed it. What's happening, though, like when you talked about this morning with the African Americans leaving, not supporting Joe Biden, they have never seen anything like that. Was a solid group, and they are losing their support. They want you to think that they're not. They want you to think that they're mainstream. They're not. They are radical, communist, activist people that are out to control your lives, take away your freedoms.
Oh, yeah.
Spend all your money. Biden wants to give another $33 billion to the Ukraine. I mean, they just spend. He said that a couple weeks ago. He was spending billions to make all of our military equipment green. No, I don't think so. They got something else going on.
They should paint it green, like camouflage.
That'd be cheaper.
You know, but I don't know why. What are they going to do? They're going to have. They're going to have electric powered tanks. What if you can't charge in the desert on the way to Baghdad?
All of these things are. I know.
So stupid.
All of these things are schemes to make themselves rich.
Well, there's the reason. There are many reasons why the Democrats are losing black support. I'm going to play this clip from CNN in a minute because they go through a lot. And there's an important point to be made with it, but. They're losing black support for a lot of reasons, the Democrats. But I think the main reason is that in 2022, because it takes a couple of generations, you know, the Democrat era of segregation and Jim Crow is now so far behind us that African Americans have finally reached, in large numbers, economic equality. And, you know, it took a long time for the black community in large numbers. There's always been rich black people, but not in large numbers. But now there's a large number of African Americans who are middle class and upper middle class. And what happens, that's when you get into the phase where you're paying taxes. And they've lost those voters because, like anybody else that works for a living, they don't want to pay taxes for a bunch of freeloading bums.
Yeah, and I think Trump had a lot to do with that. Plus, like he mentioned, inflation, which I had talked about before. Inflation and gas prices affect everybody. That is the great equalizer. You know, there's certain things that affect everyone that go across all groups. You know what I mean? And inflation and gas prices is one of those things. No matter if you're rich or poor or whatever your state, black or white, Asian, those are things nobody likes. Nobody likes to go to the grocery store and pay 3 times as much for lunch meat. I mean, I did the grocery shopping today. I can't believe the prices. There are a lot of things that we would normally buy that I'm no longer buying because they're just so expensive. Things that were $2 are now $8 a year. It's incredible.
Yeah.
And they can go on and blame whoever they want and talk about the messaging and all this. The way they can fix the problem, if they want to get these people back, instead of race baiting, just fix inflation. Fix the gas prices. Why don't they just ever fix the problem? I don't understand why they just don't fix the problems. Are they just not capable?
No, they don't want to fix
They don't want
no.
to. That is why they're losing people.
The Democrats always want problems so they can promise solutions they're never going to come through on to try to get votes.
They're psychotic.
Now, I just got an email right before the show from Mike Lindell's office at MyPillow headquarters. And it's true. I'm not making that up. I speak to Mike Lindell's office
all the time,
once, twice a week minimum, and this is amazing. And this just started just today. Mike Lindell and MyPillow are having a BOGO extravaganza. That's what Mike Lindell's calling it, a BOGO extravaganza with a lot of their products. Buy one, get one free. That's what BOGO is. If you don't know, buy one, get one. Spells BOGO. Free. And if you go to mypillow.com, click on the radio listener specials and use our promo code KANE, K-A-N-E, you're going to find buy one, get free pricing, buy one, get one free pricing on the MyPillow 100% Giza Cotton Dream Sheets. That's amazing. Buy one set, get a second set free with the promo code KANE. The 6-piece MyPillow towel set, buy one set of towels, get a second set free with the promo code KANE, K-A-N-E. And something that Kathy just ordered.
I just got it.
Just ordered right as we were starting the podcast. The Giza Elegance MyPillows, which are an upscale MyPillow, far beyond the regular standard MyPillow.
They're larger and they're like square. They're kind of like the pillows you see in really fancy hotels. And there's different colored stitching to indicate the firmness. And I actually got 4. I got 2 sets.
Yeah,
because Emily's I want one.
Yeah, so we got 4 of these coming. The Giza,
the price of 2.
The Giza Elegance MyPillows, and I guess they have Giza cotton covers on them or something, and that's where the Giza comes in. Buy one, get one free on those. There are many other buy one, get one free offers. Go to mypillow.com, click on the radio listener specials, use the promo code KANE at checkout for these BOGO offers, K-A-N-E, or order by phone. Toll free 1-800-716-4879. 1-800-716-4879. Promo code KANE, K-A-N-E. We'll be right back after this.
We're all born with talent, something we can use to bring us true success. All we need is someone to guide us and show us how to utilize our talents productively. The book, Journey to Success with Isabella Cabunri, masterfully explains how we can seize our moments and make the best use of them. In this must-read book, you will learn how success comes from within you. And don't be afraid of failure. All you have to do is just go back and keep trying again. Success will happen, and this book can help. Journey to Success with Isabella Cabunri is available on Amazon in Kindle and paperback. Order your copy right now. Winter storms, wildfires, earthquakes, hurricanes. Any one of these natural disasters can cause unexpected power loss for you and your family for days, weeks, and even months on end, leaving you unprotected and powerless in your greatest moment of need. Fortunately, with the Safari ME 2000-watt solar generator, you'll always have reliable, sustainable power when you need it most. This energy-efficient generator is ultra-portable, safe, silent, and can power heavy construction and medical equipment with ease. You can even connect the generator to the solar panel during sunlight hours and enjoy constant power throughout the day. Plus, act now and receive a free gift with your solar generator purchase. Whether you're experiencing an emergency, camping, or simply working from anywhere, you can depend on the Safari ME 2000-watt solar generator for instant, sustainable power. Visit PortableSolarPlusFC.com to get your portable solar generator today. That's PortableSolarPlusFC.com. From author Billy Wade comes the military suspense novel Fair Winds of Death, available on Amazon. At NIS headquarters in Washington, D.C., Lieutenant Commander Marcus Colt has made a name for himself, handling the country's most unusual cases. In a new case, a series of leaks within the NIS agency have led to the execution of at least 4 confidential informants, and the threat of more victims is imminent. Colt goes undercover and works to stop the leak at its source. He has the skills, he has the team, but time is quickly running out. With danger and uncertainty surrounding him, it will take everything Marcus Colt has to stop the leak before someone else dies, especially when that next someone could be him. Fair Winds of Death will have you locked in from the first chapter. You will not be able to put this book down. Order your copy right now on Amazon. Available in Kindle, paperback, and hardcover. Fair Winds of Death from author Billy Wade.
You are listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. Thanks for tuning in. Hey, and listen, since Twitter's back, since Elon Musk owns Twitter, make sure you follow me on Twitter at Brian Craig Show. Brian Craig Show on Twitter, and on Truth Social, Real Brian Craig. Real Brian Craig on Truth, Brian Craig Show on Twitter. And on Twitter, my entire stack of show prep is up there every day. When I do my show prep in the mornings and throughout the day, and I see a story that I'm going to talk about on the radio or on the podcast or on my YouTube stream, I tweet it so that I can go through my Twitter feed and have my show prep there. I used to, years ago, print everything up on paper and read. I just go through my Twitter feed. It's my complete show prep. So Brian Craig Show on Twitter and Real Brian Craig on Truth. Okay, so I want to share this. It involves what we were talking about in the last segment, but I want to share this for another reason. This is Allison Camerata yesterday on CNN, and she's a real turncoat. She used to be on Fox. Mm-hmm. She went over to CNN and instantly came out of the closet as a lib. This is CNN. They're doing, with Allison Camerata, doing a segment on black voters leaving the Democrat Party. And I want to share this for a very, very specific reason. This is CNN yesterday.
It's not just inflation that's challenging President Biden before the midterms. There's another potential headwind. New polling suggests that black voters may be souring on Democrats. CNN's senior data reporter, Harry Enton, is here. Harry, great to see you.
Nice to see you.
So you have found that Biden's approval with black Americans is down. How far are we talking here?
I mean, it's really down. I mean, you can see it here at the beginning of his term. He was at 87%. Look at where he is over the last few months. 67%. Wow. That's a 20-point drop. And not only is it a 20-point drop, that 67%, Barack Obama, the last Democratic president, never dropped below 75% in any Gallup poll. So this is lower than Barack Obama ever was.
Do you know what's driving this? What's behind it?
Well, there are a number of things that are behind it, but, you know, one of the things that I think is so important as we look towards the midterm elections, right? If you look at younger voters, you don't really see that there was much of a change with them in terms of their generic ballot or how they would vote for Congress, even though they had soured on Biden. But look here, the choice for the House of Representatives among black voters. In the 2020 election, Democrats won them by 77 points. Look at the recent average of polling. They're only winning them, get this, by 62 points. Now, I want to put this in a historical comparison for you, and this really gets at how low that 62-point margin is. Choice for House of Representatives, Democrats have won black voters by 75 points or more in every single election this century. So if you go back here and you see them right now with just a 62-point margin, that is much worse for wear than any performance for Democrats in the House of Representatives this century.
That's really interesting. So in other words, this has been a sudden decline, meaning like in the past year plus.
Well, you know, I think one way to sort of look at this, right, is the choice for president. And we go back since 2004, 2008, 2012, 2016, 2020. Right now, if you go back to 2020, Joe Biden won black voters by 75 points. That was down from 2016, 2012, 2008. You really have to go all the way back to 2004. Now, you were asking before, why? What is driving this erosion? And this, I think, will give you the clue. It's black conservative voters. Black conservatives. Look at that. 2016, Dems won by 58 points. Hillary Clinton. Look at that. Just a 20-point margin for Joe Biden. All others, moderates and liberals, that 87-point margin held. It's black conservatives that are driving this.
Really helpful, Harry. Great to see you.
Nice to see you.
Okay, now I shared that because we talked about the loss of black support by the Democrats in the last segment. That's not why I play that now. They've got the new management now that took over CNN. John Malone, this guy took over CNN. He wants to get back to news. Though that story a month ago with that Jeff Zucker guy would not have been on CNN.
Never.
And that is the first documented moment that CNN has reported real news since this takeover by John Malone of CNN, and that's amazing.
That's incredible. And you know what? This is one of Trump's legacies.
That's real news on CNN right there. Real news.
Yeah, this is one of Trump's legacies, is waking up the black voter to the reality. And I think his statement is, what the hell do you have to lose? Had a big part of that. And there are a lot more black conservatives. You have Candace Owens, you have Terrell, you have all these other people now, a lot more than you used to. And they are really working hard to get the word out. And they are waking people up. You have Dinesh D'Souza's movie, Hillary's America. That was amazing.
Yeah. Now, this thing here, though, on CNN, okay, now, once you think about this now, this is the first documented case of real news on CNN under the new management of John Malone.
Yeah,
I'm going to make a prediction here.
Yeah.
Okay? I'm going to make a prediction here. I may be wrong. It's okay. You know, I've been wrong before. I'll be wrong again. I'm expecting CNN, I'm not saying this week, but CNN is going to start carrying the Trump rallies.
No way.
Yeah, they will. I think they will. This story here,
I would be absolutely
that
shocked.
shocked me that this made it to CNN, and Fox isn't carrying the rallies.
Sure.
Fox isn't carrying the rallies. They're trying to act like they are by carrying them on the Fox Nation app. They're not carrying the rallies on Fox News Channel. The rallies are almost always on the weekend, Saturday nights and stuff, but it's low rating time. There's no excuse not to carry them. This story here shows you that there's been a big change at CNN, and I'm telling you, I'm making the prediction they're going to start at some point.
Yeah, no doubt.
Carrying the rallies again.
That is a story that definitely under Zucker would never. In fact, it would have been altered and put in a pretty new package for you, and they would have just come out and told you the exact opposite of what was really going on, because that is what they do.
Now, Nancy Pelosi has had two moments in the press briefings of hers this week. She's about lost it. She has really, truly about lost it. This is Nancy Pelosi yesterday talking about who's responsible for the high price of gasoline.
That Chad. Do you think that the public is blaming Democrats, or will continue to blame Democrats?
I don't think the public is blaming Democrats. I think they're blaming the oil companies. They will blame all of us if we don't do something about the fossil fuel industry.
But they won't take that out on your side on the midterms, even if you pass this bill and prices don't get back.
No, why would we say that? I don't think what you're saying is making very much sense. Frankly, I mean, in all fairness, we're friends. Candor is part of our friendship.
Okay, now she said no. The American people are not blaming the Democrats for the high gas prices.
They are
so
out of touch, Brian.
They stopped the pipeline. They stopped drilling.
Wow.
Biden stopped Anwar. Of course, they blame them.
Do you think she really believes that? Do you think she's really deluding herself, or is she just flat out lying?
Maybe the Ministry of Disinformation can fact check Nancy Pelosi.
Unbelievable.
So then here's Nancy today. And this really, the reason I share this is not to point out that Nancy Pelosi's out of touch and a liar. We all know that. I don't think she's with it. I think she is really just like Biden, has some major cognitive issues, or maybe she's just drunk. I don't know. But this is Nancy today.
An issue that a lot of American people are dealing with is the economy, and we just got the latest numbers showing that it did dip slightly. Is this going to have any effect on the 2022 election come November, the midterm?
Well, I think this is an aberration. There are plenty other statistics and analysis that have said this is an aberration, and there are many other factors that show that we have growth in our near future.
We have growth. I mean, we have record inflation. People can't afford things.
They are really just, like I've said, out of touch.
Yeah.
They have no idea.
Well, she
what's
called us
going
peasants,
on.
remember?
Yeah,
recently.
I mean, this, like I said, they're all living in this small radical left-wing bubble, and it's really going to be their demise because they are really out of touch. It's amazing how collectively stupid they are.
Yeah.
Not one person has said to them, I mean, I just can't believe they don't know what's going on. Not one person has gone in with some influence and said, we got a problem here. I mean, we are headed down a path that is going to, I mean, Joe Biden is such a disaster. He is going to destroy the whole party. Really, I mean, if the black support is that low, that is his fault. That guy said it was because of black conservatives. That is not the main reason they're losing black support. They don't want to tell you the real reason. The real reason is because Joe Biden is a disaster, and this radical left-wing agenda is a big disaster. Inflation, gas prices, jobs, all these things are a problem, but he's not going to tell you that, oh, it's black conservatives.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, what he's not telling you is everybody's becoming a conservative.
Exactly.
Because of Joe's, policies. Where do those black conservatives come from?
Yeah.
So he's saying that, what is he saying? They're brainwashing people?
I guess so.
I mean, is that really what they think? That's really kind of what it sounded like now that I think about it. No, people are thinking for themselves for the first time and getting off the Democratic plantation, and they just, maybe they lie to themselves and they're just deluded.
Mm-hmm.
They just can't accept the truth.
Now, you were telling me about this fake news story about Lauren Boebert.
Yeah, in the Daily
Marjorie Taylor
Mail, there's a fake news story. I put it in your Facebook group. Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert hate each other. That's what the article says, and had to be separated during a vicious argument over Greene appearing at a conference tied to a white nationalist. Remember, this happened at CPAC. She went to this one thing
CPAC alternative
and spoke, and I guess she didn't know what was going on. You really need to vet people these days.
okay, here's the thing.
And apparently Boebert was very unhappy.
Here's the thing. I love Marjorie Taylor Greene. I think she's awesome. I like Boebert, but Marjorie Taylor Greene's my favorite member of Congress. I mean, she really is. In the House of Representatives, she's awesome. And I imagine just watching Marjorie Taylor Greene, she's very loud and outspoken and very affirmative, and she probably always sounds like she's yelling at people when she's just talking in her normal voice. Yeah. You know what I mean? She's
got one of those loud voices. It says here, insiders say Boebert is more of a team player. And hates being linked with her Georgia colleague.
I don't believe that.
When the House Freedom Caucus Board of Directors, you know what I think it is? I think she's jealous. If anything, if there is any
what I think,
contentiousness,
Kathy?
It's jealousy.
I don't think there's any feud. I think this is fake news. They're trying to do, listen, we've got a squad here, okay? Boebert, Marjorie Taylor Greene. They're trying to cause division where there is none, like they're trying to do with Trump and DeSantis. Right. I mean, that's what just yesterday, DeSantis went to campaign for someone running for governor in Nevada, and NBC News went outside. There was a guy selling DeSantis 2024 for president hats on. This guy, obviously the guy was one of those Lincoln Project, or maybe even a Democrat
or a never-Trumper,
and he has one hat that
maybe
says
it was J.D. Vance.
Yeah, he has one hat that says DeSantis 2024 for president, and they do this whole story on this guy,
crazy,
who did not seem like a MAGA guy to me. He seemed like a total plant.
They probably put him there, like
probably.
Don Lemon's cameraman.
Yeah. Now listen, we're all out of time, but we will be back next time. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Thanks everyone for tuning in, and we will talk to you next time.
If you're an engineering student or young graduate, maybe you're studying engineering at college, or a newly graduated engineer ready to give it your all, but you have way more questions than answers, then there's a book that's essential reading for you. The View from Here, from author Reese Hugh Lumsden, available on Amazon. In this must-read book, you're not going to hear war stories or another speech about back in the day, but a respected colleague who gives advice presented in such a way that you can take action. You will find a mentor who is close enough in age to be connected to you, but who's senior enough to have demonstrated success in the industry, who understands the challenges you face in entering the workforce, in making sense of engineering, and knowing what it takes to get ahead. The View from Here is a book written with all of these issues and more in mind. Young Engineer of the Year and author Reese Hugh Lumsden offers frank guidance on navigating the early years of your engineering career through a combination of personal accounts and meticulously researched facts. The View from Here is written in an open and conversational style that is action-oriented and easy to understand, with over 70 quick and easy exercises that will help you build your skills. If you're learning to optimize your engineering career this very instant, then The View from Here is indispensable. Order your copy right now. Available in Kindle and paperback on Amazon. The View from Here, from author Reese Hugh Lumsden.